Man, everybody says location, 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 but really what's important is understanding that your demographic might be different than other people's demographic. Today's episode, this guy took what he had to work with, which is not normal for what we always see in wholesaling houses, and he made it work for him. My name is Ryan Haywood. Back in 2019, I did a wholesaling challenge, and I got my first deal done in 2 weeks, and I've gone on to do over 425 transactions.
That's right. And one thing I love about today's episode is he's actually been wholesaling houses since 2018. He's making $10,000 for finding a rundown house and then assigning that contract, which is just a method of replacing the name about who's buying the property to someone in his community, and they're paying him $10,000 just to trade places and close on that. So he doesn't spend any of his own money, but he's in a rural area. So he recently got into farmland. So that's what we're going to talk about. It's a good quality of any entrepreneur, not to just do what everybody else is doing, but to sell what people are wanting to buy. That's the lesson. My name's David. I created a software that's very popular for house flippers and land flippers and farm flippers. And we've got a filter for that. It's called DealMachine. So we've helped people close their first deal in all 50 states over 10,000 times. So if you're looking for your first deal, tune into this episode. So Travis, I see you're in your truck today. Where were you coming from, or where are you going?
I actually just left an appointment, and I had a quick call I had to do. So I was just sitting out in the car after my appointment. But yeah, I'm pretty hands-on in my business. You know, I'm still out every day looking at houses and doing all the hard work. But
so was this an appointment with a seller who wanted to sell their house?
Yes.
Okay, how did it go? How did you handle the appointment?
This appointment's probably not going to be a deal. You know, I went there, and the condition wasn't what they said over the phone, you know. So I went out there, and it was pretty rough. So my numbers changed a little bit, you know. So I don't know if this one's going to work, but, you know, on to the next.
Got it. Will you be making an offer to them anyway?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. But your gut just feels like they had different expectations than what you can provide.
Yeah. You know, sometimes people live in some crazy conditions, and sometimes I guess they're not aware of the conditions they live in, you know?
Mm. Yeah. Was the seller there with you as you're doing the walkthrough?
Yeah. The seller was there.
The seller's the one that lives in the house.
Yeah.
Sometimes
some
like
people aren't
that.
Self-aware.
Yeah, they're just not the seller. If the seller's living in it, like it checks a box of criteria that it's okay for them to live in. But as an investor, it's like, I'm gonna have to do all these things for this to meet like a code of conduct, I guess, if you will. But like in our city, you can't even rent a place without it being approved by the city. So in order to get it approved, I'm going to have to do this, this, and this. That's usually the tactic I used in those kinds of appointments. It's like, well, I get it. Like, I see where you guys are saying that what condition it's in, but in order for this to be an investment property, the city's going to require me to do these things. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if your market's the same as ours, but that's how it rolls for here.
Travis, how long have you been wholesaling?
I started doing this business back in 2018, 2019, somewhere around there.
Wow. Okay. So this is like not a new thing for you. You're just going to move on to the next one, give them an offer. How did you get started, and what did you make on your first deal back then?
Okay. So when I first got started, I was trying my best to be a wholesaler, and I had a really, really hard time. I was bringing buyers over to houses, and I didn't have a contract yet. You know, I didn't even have a price set with the seller. I was just bringing buyers over, you know what I mean? So what ended up happening was I brought some buyers over, and I ended up being an acquisition manager for them for like 6 months. So they took me in is what happened, you know. So I got into real estate by not really doing my first deal by wholesaling, but I was just wholesaling to them pretty much, you know. I got my first contract using DealMachine back in, 2018, 2019. I was just driving around, and back then the app was full of bugs. I mean, it was so different than it is today. And I would say I got lucky. I really did. I sent out maybe 20 mailers, and somebody got back to me, and it was a lady that, I don't remember her name now, but I remember her sister. Her sister was in a nursing home, and she was handling everything, Her sister ended up falling in the nursing home, needed a bunch of money to live off of. So we came in, and I'm trying to remember what my fee was on that. Like I said, I wasn't assigning. They were paying me like $1,000 per deal that I brought them. You know what I mean?
Got it.
And then I worked with them until COVID happened. It's like 6 months to a year and a half. COVID happened. I kind of backed away from them. Then I went virtual.
Okay.
I started going virtual. When that happened, I started closing deals virtually. And then I started to do things here again, started to do things, in person, boots on the ground. So for like a year or two, I was doing virtual and in person at the same time,
So when you say virtual, was it still in your neighborhood? You just weren't going into the homes? You were just talking over the phone and receiving photos via email?
No, I was in a whole nother state, place that I've never even been to.
Got it. Was it difficult?
Yeah, but it's all about, in my opinion, the boots on the ground. As long as you have boots on the ground somewhere and they really understand what's going on and they understand how to talk to people, and take good pictures, it's pretty much the same as doing it, in your own backyard, I just prefer to be talking with sellers and smiling and shaking hands.
How did you find somebody virtually?
I went into a group. Wholesaling houses full time. I typed in Waynesburg, Ohio, where the deal was, and I found one guy that said he lived like 30 minutes away, and we ended up just connecting. He went out, took pictures for me, ended up finding a buyer. We split it 50-50. It was like my first virtual deal was like $10,000. We split it in half.
The assignment fee. So you got under contract for 100, you sold it for 110, y'all split the
Right.
10,000 difference, and you didn't put any money up. You just assigned it, let them replace their name on the contract. Or did you do a double close?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So then you did in person again. Why'd you start mixing in the in-person stuff?
Well, I felt like in my market, I'm in West Virginia, a very small place. There's not a lot going on here. I felt like there was a void that I could fill here, and I was bored. Like I was sitting in my house and my boots on the ground was doing all the, the heavy footwork for me. So I was just sitting in the house all the time. And I like the sun to be hitting my face. I like to be on the street and really dealing with people,
For sure. So you now do a virtual market and your own market, right?
Yeah, I'm more in my backyard than anything these days, though.
Got it. So as the person who was your boots on the ground, did you pay him an hourly fee or did you pay him? Oh, you split it. You said. So does he still rely on you to help sell the deals, or how does that work?
No, so virtually how it usually works, if I'm either going to pay somebody, I don't always have to use the guy in the boots on the ground. I can pay someone if I want to make it, make more money off of it and not have a higher split. But sometimes I feel like I don't really care because, a lot of these leads come from cold calls that, I'm doing calls myself, so I don't have a big expense there. So it don't really hurt me to have trust in somebody to go ahead and say, here, you can have 30%, 40%, 50%. You do the work. And when they do that, I usually do 50% to Tim. That's my guy in Akron. And what he usually does is he does it all. He finds the buyer. He puts the lockbox on. He's showing it. All I'm doing is working that lead, generating it, qualifying it, and getting it under contract.
Got it. So who are you cold calling, by the way? Because that's why I got you on the call. I was like, man, Travis and his team are making a lot of phone calls since we launched the dialer a few weeks ago. Like 1,000 plus.
Yeah, so right now I'm calling farmland is what I'm dialing. I went in the DealMachine and had the support help me out to filter out to, do farmland. So right now I'm cold calling farm owners, people who own 10, 20, 30, 40, 80,000, 80 acreage pretty much.
Got it. And why would they be wanting to sell their farmland if they've owned it for years?
Well, that's the question. So I went to one yesterday, and this lady inherited the property. It's 80 acres. And she inherited it. Now she's having a lot of financial burdens, credit card bills. The property, farms take a lot of work. You have to, you got barns, you have animals, you have a lot of land to take care of. She's not able to do it. And since her family passed away, the people responsible for that, now it's all overgrown. There's no animals. The house is falling apart. It's a lot of land for one person to take care of.
Right. And it's not producing income either because she's not working it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's just an old, worn down farm. And that's what I'm looking for. So if I'm going after a farm that has, animals, money coming in, most likely they're not going to give me a good deal. Most likely, you got to find those problems, just like with any other lead. If you're going to qualify, you got to find somebody that's willing to trade their equity for speed and convenience when they have a problem.
So how do you price out a farm? So yeah, it would be different than running comps on a house, right? Because it depends on how much income it could produce if somebody's working it.
Hey guys, if you know you want to quit your job in the next 3 months, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast because we've got some incredible frameworks with step-by-step instruction that you're not going to want to miss. Also, leave us a rating and review to let us know your favorite parts and why you want to get financial freedom.
Well, if it has an income producing farm, yes. But if it's just an old farm,
so how do you
don't
comp
really
the farms? How do you know how much
do
it's
all
actually
that
worth?
Per se. So I go to Zillow and I'll go on and I'll filter out sold, I'll filter out land, and I'm looking for price per acre. If I see something selling for, let's say, $3,000 per acre, I'm going to usually offer half of that. Or, I'm going to gauge their interest to see how low I can get them.
Oh, got it. Okay. So where did you get, okay, so you just know that because you've been working that area for a while. So you're on Zillow, you've looked at what properties have sold for, and you're just basing it off that. Okay. Got it. You try to get a discount. What type of discount would you say that you're looking to get?
I'd like to, if I find out something selling for $1,000 an acre, I'm going to start off at $400 an acre and offer, $500 and see what I can get. With land, it's kind of cool because, I'm not really focused on, ARVs with repair values and a bunch of repairs. Like for the land yesterday, we're going to remove a few barns. We're going to remove an old house structure. So all of that, is going to help the value go up, of course. But sometimes if you're just wholesaling and you're just assigning, just get it as low as you can. But
you are wholesaling the farms, right?
Yeah, we wholesale, but we also close them. Like we assign.
How do you decide
things,
if you're going to wholesale it or close on it?
The margin.
Okay. So if it's a bigger margin, then you close on it?
Yeah, if I can make $50,000 or more by just closing on it, that's what I'm going to do every time.
Got it. Well, and then how do you find your buyers if you're going to wholesale it? Because this must be a specific kind of buyer who's wanting to buy a farm, right?
Yeah, so what I do is I actually have a partnership with a local company here, and they auction properties. So I use them as my dispo, and I let them do all the hard work for me. It's usually about a 90-day process when I do this, but I'll buy them. While I'm under contract, I'll have my auctioneer go out, look at it, give me his honest opinion. If I'm making money, if I'm losing money, if he gives me the go, I'm signing it up, I'm putting it up on the auction block.
Got it. So if the auction takes 90 days and you're wholesaling it, do you just have a 90-day inspection period on your contract?
Well, no, I'll buy that. Like, that's when I'll buy it. If I'm going to auction, I'm paying cash, closing it out, it's done. If I'm going to assign it, I just got a buyer's list, people that know me, that I've known, people that I meet. I'll send it out to them. I'll have them go look at it, give me some offers. If I'm not getting what I want for it, then I'll just buy it and put it on the market.
So normally, I guess people would find buyers at like a real estate investor meetup. Is there like a farming meetup where you met some of them originally back in 2018 when you were getting started? Or how'd you start that
No,
buyers list, for somebody starting?
no. I live in a market where it's real country and there's a lot of
Yeah.
out of state people wanting to buy farmland here. So that's kind of my niche, is selling to these people who think they want to be farmers, you know?
Oh, okay. Got it. Well, it does
Yeah.
sound very, very nice. I could see like, Lecco Farms or Haywood Farms, and we're selling our own version of butter and stuff. That'd be really fun, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I like farms, but this is something that I'm really like. I've done land, but farms is something I'm just getting into. I don't have a lot of experience with farms. I bought land, wholesaled land. I really focus on single family homes. That's my bread and butter. That's what makes me all the money.
Love it. Got it. So
It was
what was interesting about the farms to you? Like what's drawing you to it if you're doing well
Well,
with the single family?
well, I really like land. I like the idea of land and not having to walk through dirty cat pee houses all the time. Um, so in West
Right, the
Virginia,
cats can
we have
pee outside.
yeah, there you go. In West Virginia, we have a lot of mountainside, and if I want to do land here, it has to be farms. There's not much, we don't. It's not like
You can't
Florida.
do
You
much
don't
with the
have
mountain.
Yeah, there you go.
Got it. So Ryan, you looked like you had a question.
To me, it's just I'm with you. I hate walking through houses and ruining shoes. I've never been successful in land or even where to get started from it, but like it seems intriguing and how to get started. How did you find that land was going to be your niche, and how are you making that successful in what you're doing now?
Well, I always noticed that when I would go and start getting leads, that I would get land leads, and I didn't know what to do with them, and I used to pass up on them all the time, and then last year, one came across to me that had a mobile home on it, and the mobile home needed like taken off the property, and I bought it for a good price. I bought it for like $6,000. It was like really low. Then I ended up auctioning it for like over 20 grand, and I was like, well, this was an accident, but maybe I need to do more of this, So, I just I went straight and invested into some land courses, with Brent Bowers. And from there, I've just been, everything. I don't focus on land per se, but when the land comes to me, I know what to do with it now. I know how to evaluate it. And that's what's got me opened up to the farms. I wanted to get on the dialer and I wanted to call people, but I didn't want to call people I might have talked to before. I didn't want to, I've ran through my local market. I've talked to a lot of people, but I've never went after farms. So I feel like, I've called, I've used this dialer. I've had really good success with it so far. Very good rate of connection. So I feel like within the next month, I should have a farm deal. That's what I believe,
How many farm deals have you successfully done in the last 12 months?
Yeah, so that's what I was just telling you. I've never done a farm deal. Like I've done land deals.
He's getting into it.
I
Yeah.
just started doing the when I started dialing, that's when I started to really go in on farms. And that was about a week or two ago.
Is there a farm list you guys are filtering in DealMachine? Because there's a lot of options on there. I know like 300 types of land classifications.
Yeah, so I went on there and the customer service, like they showed me how to filter out just for the farms in the areas I was looking for. So I just went on there and I did a basic filter out and I'm calling everybody that has a farm.
Cool. Well, that's a good plug too. I mean, we have the chat in the app, but we also have office hours. I'm not sure which one you joined, but DealMachine.com/office-hours is like an hour every day where people jump on, get their questions answered in real time, just for anyone listening. Well, Travis, do you have any social media where people could find you? I definitely appreciate you coming on today, sharing about your success with the single family since 2018, but also kind of what you're looking forward to at the farms. It sounds very enticing to me, especially since it's very relevant to your community where you're at. And I think that's a good lesson for anyone that's listening, right? That's like, well, if I live in a rural area, maybe I should try something like that.
Yeah, you can find me at Travis Goodwin on Facebook. I don't really have any other social media. I'm in a lot of communities. I'm in the Rhino Tribe with Brett Daniels. You know, if you want to come into that and talk to us, the Land Sharks program. So I'm a little of everywhere. And I would say that if you're in a rural market, a small, tiny market like I am, so in my markets, there's 3 counties that I go after, and those counties aren't even 200,000 people, right? So I would say you really need to, you know, build a demand there, and you need to build connections with agents there, you know, different realtors, because comping is hard in these markets. So you need to have somebody that's going to help you and be specific with you on what you might be able to sell for, and become the buyer as soon as possible. The fastest you can become the buyer in these small markets, the more success you're going to have.
Love it. Thanks for that parting advice. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hopefully another appointment so that you can get some money coming in.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. And next time, we'll try to schedule it so I can be in front of the computer. I hate being on the phone on this, but it was last minute. I was in an appointment and I hopped on real quick.
It worked well. It's authentic because you're out there. You just did it. Like I said, you just did an appointment. So that was fun to talk about and start the episode that way. But yeah, let's do another episode here in another month. Now that you guys would have, 6-8 weeks under your belt with the dialer, I'd love to check in and see how that's going for you.
Love it. I appreciate you guys. You have a good one.
You too, Travis. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.